Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. One of the most beautiful covers you'll ever see. But we're not here to discuss the outside, it's the inside. And this book is chock full of ideas, and today we're going to be discussing the 10 best ideas of Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Let's discuss the first idea now. Idea number 1, plus, minus, equals. Former UFC fighter and trainer Frank Shamrock shares this idea of plus, minus, equals. How in your life you need people who are pluses, people who are better than you, who can teach you. People who are minuses, people who are less than you that you can teach. And lastly, equals, people on your same level that can challenge you, cause you to grow. Your ego is tamed with the pluses because you realize you're not the best. The minuses help you give and contribute, and the equals are people who challenge you, keep you from being complacent. Idea number 2, don't be passionate. That's right, you heard me, don't be passionate. When I read this in the book, I was so thrown off because all the gurus tell you passion is your life force, your energy. But here they discuss John Wooden, one of the best basketball coaches of all time, and how one of his best players, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, described him as dispassionate. John Wooden wasn't the type of coach for rah-rah speeches and inspiration. He saw those extra emotions as a burden. His philosophy was about being in control, doing your job, and never being passion's slave. Too often we get flashes of inspiration. I'm going to be the youngest ever. I'm going to be the best ever. And this enthusiasm blinds us to the reality of all the work that needs to be done. We seem to hear the passion about successful people, but we forget that that same passion was in many failures as well. The author believes that purpose is more important than passion. Purpose de-emphasizes the I. Purpose is about something larger than yourself. When you have more purpose and less passion, you're likely going to take more action. Ask questions like, what do I need to do right now? What is the best use of my time? What is one step that I can take to move myself forward today? The author says, leave passion for amateurs. Make it about what you must do and say, not about what you care about and what you wish to be. Idea number 3, always be a student. The power of being a student is not the extended period of time of instruction, but it puts your ego in the hands of someone else. When you're letting someone teach you, you're saying that that person has more skill than you. They know more than you, and this humbles you and tames your ego. The art of taking feedback is such a critical skill in life, particularly the harsh and critical advice. Because what often happens is that we get advice from our family, our friends, even from our own brain telling us we're great when we're not. And if we become a student and stay a student, that's the best chance we have to learn and reach our potential. Idea number 4, get out of your own head. Plato has described what we do as feasting on our own thoughts. We have this grand vision in our mind of who we're going to be and what we're going to do with our life in the future, and this prevents us from taking action to make that dream a reality. One of the examples in the book was a politician running for the governor of California in the 1930s. He published a book titled, I, Governor of California, and How I Ended Poverty. This was written in past tense. He had not won the election yet, and he was a long shot to win. Observers at the time noticed the effect publishing this book had. Not on the voters, because he lost in a landslide, but the effect it had on the politician. All of a sudden he lost interest, lost his drive, because in his mind he was already the governor. What's the point of doing all the work to actualize that dream when you already have the fantasy in your head? Our imagination is a valuable asset, but it can be dangerous when it runs wild. That politician lost his drive because he was living in a passionate fiction instead of an actual reality. It's better to get out of your own head and stay in tune with the reality, to know what type of work you need to do to stay hungry, stay focused, and take the action steps to actualize your dreams. Idea number 5, swallow your pride. Kangaskhan said, if you can't swallow your pride, you can't lead. Pride takes a minor accomplishment and makes it into a big one. For example, I've published a couple ebooks, and I've had a couple of them that are bestsellers. I use the air quotes because it's not a New York Times bestseller. It was just an ebook on Amazon that was a bestseller in its particular category for a couple days. Now, I've blown this up and I've made myself feel more important than I really am, and I'm sure you've done this from time to time too. Pride blunts the very instrument we need in order to succeed. Our mind. Our ability to learn, to adapt, to be flexible, to form relationships, all of this is dulled by pride. When you're feeling prideful, the best question to ask yourself is, what am I missing now that a humble person might see? There's a simple test to tell if someone's humble. Because a humble person listens and observes, a humble person also is constantly improving. Idea number 6, the golden mean. This is about finding balance. Aristotle described virtue and excellence as points on a spectrum, how the center is where you need to be. Where the golden mean lies is difficult to tell, but if you don't find it, you risk the dangers of the extremes. In every case in life, it's hard work finding that intermediate, finding that middle ground. The author gives a metaphor of driving a car. He says, endless ambition is easy. It's easy for one to put the foot down on the gas, to focus on themselves, to become a personal success. But it's also easy to be complacent, to take your foot off the gas, to avoid your problems, to blame others, and just stay right where you are. What's difficult is to apply the right amount of pressure, at the right time, in the right way, for the right period of time, in the right car, going in the right direction. Idea number 7, alive and dead time. According to Robert Greene, there are 2 types of time. Alive time and dead time. Dead time are when people are passive and waiting. Alive time are when people are learning, taking action, and utilizing every second of their lives. Malcolm X in prison is an example of how someone used alive time. While in prison, he spent just about every second in the library reading or in his bunk reading. Sometimes we reinvest in that behavior that got us in trouble in the first place. For example, Malcolm X, while in prison, could have strengthened his connections. He could have become a better criminal. So don't waste a second of this precious life. Make sure you're learning, taking action, and utilizing every second that you have. Dead time comes in many forms. Idly dreaming about the future, plotting your revenge, finding refuge in distraction, refusing to reflect on yourself and poor choices you might have made. All these are examples of dead time. Dead time is when we're controlled by our egos. If we can let go of our ego, now we can start living. Idea number 8, detach from the outcome. There was a story in the book that was very sad. It was a writer, wrote a book, tried to get it published, and it was universally rejected. He was so heartbroken by this news that he ended up committing suicide. Later on, his mom found the manuscript and advocated on its behalf. It eventually got published and even won a Pulitzer Prize. Detach from the outcome. Do the best work you can, try to serve in the best capacity you can, and let fate decide. And remember, just like that book, sometimes what you have is great, and it just takes time for people to realize it. Detach from the outcome. Idea number 9, katabasis. Katabasis is a Greek word which translates to a going down. And in Greek mythology, there were several characters who had low points in their life. They experienced depression, a falling, and in some cases literally went down to the underworld. But when they emerge, it's with a heightened knowledge and understanding. Katabasis forces you to face reality and the truths in your life. Until you hit this low point, you may surround yourself with distractions, lie about what makes you happy, and have a bunch of bad habits that are difficult to break. Katabasis is your breaking point. Whether it's being fired, experiencing a breakup, having an embarrassing moment, they all can lead to that low point in your life that propels you to your highest point in your life. Idea number 10, maintain your own scorecard. Warren Buffett says to make a distinction between your inner scorecard and your external one. Winning is not enough. Anyone could win, but not everyone becomes the best version of themselves. Here's the one benefit of being tough on yourself. The author says a person who judges himself based on his own standards doesn't crave spotlight the same way as someone who lets applause dictate their success. There you have it, 10 of the best ideas from Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Highly recommend this book. And if you're looking for more book review videos like this, subscribe to my channel today and hit the bell notification so you don't miss anything. My channel is all about helping you live in a lifetime, getting the most out of your life and reaching your potential. This is your friend Michael Unks, inspiring you to learn, laugh, and love. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.